military experience. What was needed was a contact in high places. By chance, Doc Adams was a good friend of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. On January 12, 1942, Adams put his ideas down onto paper and took it to the White House.
President Roosevelt was kind enough to look at his paper and wrote to his aide, who was William Donovan. He wrote on his note, "Have a look at this, Bill. This man is not a nut."
Although skeptical, American military leaders, desperate for ways to strike back at the Japanese, could see the idea had some potential. Japanese buildings built primarily from materials like bamboo, wood, and paper would burn easily. If 1 million bats carrying incendiaries really could be released over Japan, the results could be devastating. One target was the city of Osaka in Japan's industrial heartland. The top-secret plan, codenamed Project X-Ray, was given a cautious green light. General Hap Arnold asked Doc Adams to put the plan into action. Adams recruited a team of helpers.
We had a staff as varied as an ex-Al Capone gangster driving Doc's car for him. It was just a crazy lot.
The team headed for the bat caves of Texas and New Mexico. They needed to find out exactly what the bats could do and how to handle them. Which bat was best suited to carry a bomb? There were millions of bats in every cave, and they came in many different shapes and sizes. But there was only one that could be seriously considered for the project, and that was the Mexican freetail. It wasn't particularly big, but there were millions of them.
So this is a Mexican freetail bat. This is the one, the species that's so abundant at Carlsbad Caverns and most of the bat areas in the southwestern United States.
Catching enough bats was easy. Inducing them to hibernate by cooling the air temperature was straightforward. But making an effective incendiary device that the bats could carry was much more of a challenge. The average Mexican freetail weighed barely half an ounce. Tests showed that it could carry slightly more than its own body weight. But the smallest incendiary device available at the time weighed 2 pounds. A weight 30 times greater than the bat could possibly carry. One of America's top scientists, Harvard chemist Louis Pfizer, was appointed to the project. His task, to design a device small enough for a bat to carry, yet powerful enough to set fire to a building.
His idea was to apply something he'd invented called napalm, which is jellied gasoline. It's a mixture of gasoline and liquid soap, in effect. It's compact, it's relatively lightweight, it's reliable, and then once you set it off, it's going to burn very fiercely. But beyond that, once this jellied gasoline gets hot, it will also flow, which means you can get into crevices and under roofs and down partitions and so on. So for the bat bomb, it's the perfect explosive.
To carry the napalm, Pfizer developed a tiny celluloid capsule. It included a time delay fuse, but remarkably still weighed less than an ounce.
The bomb would be attached by means of a surgical clip here to the skin of the chest of the bat. So it would be just suspended under it, sort of like this.
And that little bomb was so effective that you could lay it on a solid plank, like a 12 by 12 plank of wood, and ignite it, and it would start the wood on fire. No kindling required.
Just how effective became apparent during tests at Carlsbad Army Airfield, New Mexico. Some bats carrying live incendiaries escaped, and within minutes the base was in flames.
Wow. The Air Force took a very dim view of what we had done. We thought, well, at least we proved that the damn thing works, you know.
But the biggest question remained unanswered. How to drop 1 million bats onto a Japanese city? For everybody's safety, the bats needed to be kept in a state of hibernation while the incendiaries were attached and for the journey to the target. The sleeping bats couldn't just be dropped from a plane because they would simply crash to the ground. For the bats to be delivered effectively, they would need time to emerge from hibernation and a safe platform from which to fly off and find a building to roost in. Doc Adams came up with the answer by designing this ingenious purpose-built bat bomb. 1,040 bats stacked onto 26 trays were placed into a 5-foot bomb-shaped container. On each tray, there were 40 separate compartments, one for each bat. The bomb would be dropped from 5,000 feet with its descent carefully controlled. A parachute would open at 1,000 feet. Simultaneously, the outer casing of the bomb would fall away. The trays opened like an accordion, each tray joined to the next by cord. The bats dropped onto the tray below. The trays then floated slowly to Earth, allowing the bats time to wake up. As they flew off, each bat pulled a hair-thin wire connecting the bomb to the tray. The incendiary was now primed to go off in 30 minutes. On December 15, 1943, the bat bomb was tested at Dugway Proving Ground in Utah. A Japanese-style village was constructed in the desert to see whether the bats would take shelter in roofs and attics as was hoped. The bats performed perfectly. The military were impressed.
And here's what they wrote. It is concluded that the bat bomb is an effective weapon. Ta-da!
The bat bomb was given official approval in December 1943. It was to be put into operation against the Japanese in September the following year. But on February 16, 1944, came news that no one was expecting. The project was canceled. Nobody could explain why.
Naturally, we were disappointed. We would have liked to have seen it happen because we hoped it would have helped to end the war quickly.
But a quicker way to end the war had already been found. The atomic bomb rendered the bat bomb obsolete before it could be put into action. The war was over for Doc Adams and his team. But across America, the search for weird ways to gain an advantage over the enemy never stopped. In Minneapolis in 1942, a plan was hatched to train pigeons to guide a bomb to its target. Today's electronic smart bombs are the perfect weapon. You can sit miles away in complete safety and guide a missile with pinpoint accuracy to a distant target. Since World War I, scientists realized that remote-controlled bombs were the future, but they hadn't yet figured out how to do it with radio waves. One early idea was to use pigeons. American behaviorist B.F. Skinner came up with a plan. He'd studied animal behavior for years, and he believed that he could train pigeons to steer a bomb to its target. Skinner's idea was to harness pigeons inside a missile. When the missile was launched, say towards a ship, a lens projected an image of the ship onto a screen inside the bomb. The pigeons were trained to peck at the ship on the screen. As long as they hit the image correctly, a link from the screen to the bomb's steering control kept it on course. Skinner trained his birds using food as a reward. He believed that if his pigeon-guided bomb could be launched within 2,000 feet of its target, the pigeons could ensure a direct hit. The U.S. military liked the idea enough to invest $25,000 to fund an experimental program. Exhaustive tests were carried out in laboratories. The birds passed every test with flying colors, but to no avail. When it was presented to the National Defense Research Council, they simply could not take it seriously. Project Pigeon was dropped. It probably would have worked, but it was just too weird.